Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. Some of these programs are recorded and some are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am Martha Brown, your host for today's activities. We are presenting today the Postal Service. Where did it go? Peggy Spears is going to tell us about art and the Postal Service that exists in the Amon Carter Museum of American Art's archives. Peggy, I'm excited about this because I had an uncle that was a postmaster in a little town.
Oh, how cool.
Take it away and show us what you have.
Sure. All right. Well, and as you were saying that out loud, I was thinking, oh man, like you're probably thinking murals, and we do have a mural that's been removed from an old post office. But this is kind of these are fun, not exactly what you'd be thinking about pictures of the Postal Service. So let's get it going. All right, so this first one's kind of a reach, but I thought it still qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Why would it qualify as part of Postal Service?
Because the stamps.
Stamp on it.
Stamp.
It looks like a postcard.
And the where from.
Yeah, we can see up here. There's the return. We can see down here. There's the recipient's address, and we can see it's been postmarked.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we thinking then? Is that if we can see these details, how is this related to the Postal Service?
It looks like a sports something. I see a golf club and a hockey stick.
That was a cheat. So, okay, wait, tell me what you see.
A golf.
Oh my gosh, if I click it one more time, I'm trying to get it so I can see all y'all's faces. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Martha.
A golf club on the lower right and a hockey stick in the upper left.
Oh, okay.
Or is that a boomerang? That'd be a boomerang.
Could be a boomerang.
I thought it was a boomerang.
Okay, it's a short hockey stick. But it keeps coming back.
It's a table hockey stick.
That's it. So is that way off?
Well, yes, but I appreciate the creativity. This title is kind of as a hint. It's called Study for the Cat. So
Cat tail.
you see the cat tail.
Right there in the top, upper. Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
a cat tail.
Oh,
And then if
It's a
you follow
cat.
that tail across, you see cat ears.
yeah, it is. Okay. Okay.
Ooh.
So this is a study. This was just a fancy, giving it a little more clout than it needs, but it's the artist was scribbling and doodling on it on old mail.
Oh,
And so this is the front of a mail of a 3x5. So it's only 3x5 inches, and he's doodling on it. And he's created a portrait of his cat on the front, a study, which because later it turns into a larger artwork, which I will show
the
you.
cat now.
But it's kind of him just doodling, and so
Yeah, that's it,
oftentimes
yeah,
that's called a study because it's just kind of preliminary practice, something he's doing to then work towards something larger. So it's very abstract. Will Barnett was a New Yorker. He died when he was 101 years old. He lived for a very long time and created for a very long time. But he was really interested in experimenting between abstract and realism. And it was during the 40s, he went totally abstract, but then he eventually returned to realism. Really interesting guy. And so he was very much inspired by the environment around him. Something I read, I think it might have even been in the New York Times obituary. It said when he moved to New York from Massachusetts in his early 20s, I want to say, all he came was with $10 and a portfolio of seascapes and portraits of his cat. So he very much was attracted to his cats, or attracted to the creativity it inspired. But he also did a lot of portraits of children, of women and children, like moms and children interacting, of birds he saw outside, of the architecture in the cities he lived in. New York City. So he was very much influenced by what he was seeing, but was then playing with the realness and the abstraction, and where did he get too abstract, or where did the two combine? So he's doodling here. We see his cat, and then on the bottom is what the actual paint, the lithograph ended up looking like.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's much easier to see the cat in the black and white.
Right. Very different.
I'm so glad you have that.
Mhm.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Well, that's can you explain it? Hans can't see it, and I have a hard time.
Okay, so and this is true to Will Barnett's form. It's actually easier to see in the first one. It's less abstracted. You see
Yes.
let me move this so I can see better, because you guys are okay. You can see his nose and his eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And his little cat ears.
Mhm.
And you see one leg and two leg.
Yeah.
And then you see his hind legs back here with a little
Okay.
cat tail that comes up and has a hook.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the ears, and that's the eyes.
And then here's
the-
its torso.
Yeah.
Long
Okay.
skinny torso.
And you can
Long
see
skinny torso.
something underneath him.
So it's okay. So this is part of his abstraction, and he does it in a lot of his paintings too. He just kind of fills it in with, he was very inspired by Hopi and Anasazi patterns on pottery. And so you can see some of those geometric designs work themselves in kind of dead spaces within the artwork. And he also was influenced by the architecture in New York. So here it's like kind of a combination of these architectural forms that are working together to create this cat. So, you can see kind of the tallness of the buildings, the different building sizes,
Okay.
but it's his cat. So, and then by the time he printed it on, it's a lithograph, a few years later, it's gotten even more abstracted.
Yeah.
So-
No kidding.
You can see his curled tail. That's like kind of the anchor, and his little
Mhm.
legs. Now they're almost walking. They're less sticky and more walking.
Mhm.
You see the front legs up here,
Mhm.
and then his eyes and mouth and cat ears.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
So it's
So
very abstracted
like
by the time they
Picasso.
get there.
yeah. Crooked like Picasso.
I like the doodle
Yes,
better.
it is. He was very much influenced by Picasso. So while the final product has absolutely nothing to do with the Postal Service, the thought of this cat came doodled on a piece of mail. So I thought it works, right?
Yeah.
Will work.
Some
All right.
people are just bound to doodle no matter on what.
That I know, and it's so interesting because we have certain artists do not doodle. It just comes to them, and they work directly on that one piece of canvas or paper, and they rework it. Whereas others were just prolific. He was a prolific draftsman, constantly drawing. So you never know when your doodles on your paper might turn into something more than just
Peggy,
yeah.
do you know how big the lithograph is?
You know what? I didn't put that dimension down, but it's much bigger than this 3x5. It's
Okay,
just
that's
not
what I
as long
thought.
as the
That's what I
3x5.
thought too.
Okay, so now we're going from abstraction to straight reality with our good friend Elliot Porter.
That blue is his.
Totally. The
Yeah.
color, I mean, it's like very yummy, these colors. They just suck you right in. So we've seen a few of Elliot Porter's photographs from New York City. They have a very different the content is so different than all of his nature things, because like we've talked about in the past, he's typically removing the person from the artwork, whether they're in nature or at a camp or something. You're just seeing nature.
Mhm.
Here we're not seeing people, but everything here is man-made. So
It-
what jumps out at you?
The mailboxes.
The mailboxes.
Mailbox.
What did you say, Etta?
No, the mailbox.
Oh, the mailboxes. Yeah, the
Mhm.
blue of the mailboxes. And what jumped out at me, the mailboxes, that blue, but how the graffiti complements the colors of the mailbox. it says as if it
Mhm.
were staged, and it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not staged. So he was able to frame, I mean, and as he was very good at doing, framing the artwork or framing the image without having to manipulate anything in the actual setting. He found it and snapped it. And again, we don't see people, but we see, the handwriting of people,
Evidence of people.
but the correspondence of people. Mailboxes don't exist in nature. We're writing each other. This is a way of human interaction. So he's including all of these human interactions without actually including one human.
Looks like Ray was there in 1978.
Yeah,
Funny.
that's funny. Yeah, I know, it's kind of fun reading some of the
Yeah.
doodles.
78.
It's interesting that they were at that time separating metered from stamped.
Mhm.
And nowadays, you're lucky if anybody sends anything through the US mail.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the US mail. I am like
do
the
too.
biggest supporter of the Postal Service.
We still use the US mail for just sending stuff.
Not much.
Not much, but we do.
I love buying the stamps because I know they're always going to be good now.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, keep your eyes out from some mail from yours truly in the next week, everyone, okay?
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
I
wow.
know. I thought, how fitting. Let's send some mail. All right, we've got another Elliott Porter, which I just adore this photograph. There's not much to say about it, but it's just charming.
Mm-hmm.
And a totally different mailbox,
Mhm.
different look. And this is on the island where his family owns like another island up in Maine, and they summer there and everything. This was the post office for Deer Isle up in Maine. To me, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the film director Wes Anderson, and he's done things like Life Aquatic, the Darjeeling Unlimited, Moonrise Kingdom. He has a very particular aesthetic, and this is the aesthetic. It's just very simple but cozy. I don't know. It's kind of kooky.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch one of their movies, then you'll know exactly.
so was Bill Murphy in Life Aquatic?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, that's what I thought I remembered a little bit of it.
Yeah. Bill Murray is in most of their movies, and so is Jason Schwartzman. It's like the same cast that they just keep.
Oh, really?
Again and again. And what's the one with? It's like the most famous of them, I think. The one with Gwyneth Paltrow and the Owen brothers and Ben Stiller. Really good. Anyway, whenever you watch their movie, it has this type of like, I don't know. I can't explain. You just know a Wes Anderson film when you see it, and this feels like that. But have any of you camped somewhere or summered somewhere or gone, maybe Martha, like your uncle who was in a small town, was it like a little box type of post office like this?
At Boy Scout camp, we had something similar to that.
Okay.
And some camps.
Yeah. One of the camps I went to had the post office inside the canteen where you would buy snacks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. His was built. His was a building that was built to be a post office in 1955.
Okay.
And it was that gray brick.
Oh, yeah. Like very government feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This
It
looks
wasn't
cute.
as cute as this.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's just so cute. I just would like be constantly sending mail, walking up there every day.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the small towns in North Dakota had one similar to this.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it would probably also sold some candy bars or something too. It was like a
I think there's a
2-for-1
few in
shop.
Texas too like this. I've seen some shots of little communities in Texas that have one just like this.
Mhm. Yeah, like a horse town type of place.
And
Here
this
it's
one,
just, I don't know, it just feels very summery, very, very nostalgic. But we'll go now to a very different, another rural type of male scene.
Hmm.
No, go back.
I know. This is another New England, like Northeast rural scene in Jersey, but it's Jersey. It's not Maine, not dreamy Maine. So we've looked at this particular lithographer before. She was the one, if you can go back in your mind and think about the ice skating theme we did, where it was a group of people figure skating on a frozen lake together, and we couldn't tell who were girls and who were boys. And
Oh,
who,
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
and that was another rural scene in New Jersey. So it's the same lithographer, and she was very well known in her day. She was she was in a ring of women who were pretty well known for lithography, graphic design, graphic art, and during the interwar period. And so she she lived in New York and moved to the Everglades after she received a Guggenheim grant for lithography. Ended up getting sick and moved back up to the New York, New Jersey area. So her career has like 3 different parts to it in terms of her content. But so this was in the first part of her New York stint, or New England stint. And she grew up she spent a lot of time in Connecticut and New Jersey outside of the city. And so this was the type of thing that she probably was inspired by, just because she'd seen it in her life or grew up with it as well.
I've seen rural roads that have lines of post box like that. Some of them look like some of them are, the modern ones are all nice, straight, and nice steel containers, but these are ones that would be back when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it has that rustic feel to it, like you're saying, because look, it looks like they're made from old thick arms.
Yeah, exactly.
Trees or
Fence post.
Fence posts, yeah.
But there's a sense of it's rural, but it's not completely out of touch. And why is that? It's not completely out of touch with the bigger part of the world.
It's got power lines.
Power lines.
Oh, I hadn't even paid attention to that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, she did a good job of it. All kind of blends in with the trees and the verticality of the trees and the mailboxes. But it's in the 30s. There's telegraphs and electric running. So
I wonder if there's maybe if on purpose that it's not showing any wires going anywhere from the power line. It's like it's there but not quite connected or something.
my hunch was that was just an artistic omission.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Because she's not including some of those. I mean, this looks like she almost did it with a pencil, the way the shading is. It's so you can see the individual lines of her ink and touche. She's working on a lithographic stone, but we're not seeing the individual lines within the wood, which we know we would see. So that might be part of the reason why some of those power lines just didn't make the cut. The idea of it was there, and that's all she wanted to convey.
I've seen actual real scenes like this of where you'll have a power pole or a telephone pole, and then you have a series of boxes next to them.
Yeah.
It's like the telephone pole or the power pole is kind of like the landmark.
Yeah.
They're going to be. Yeah.
One of my dearest friends grew up in very rural Missouri. Like, she was one of 11 kids in her graduating class. And her father was the town postman and the corn farmer for their county. Like, it was like he had multiple jobs, but his mail truck was just his own car, and he would put a little flashing light on it when he was driving. So that, I felt like I was back in my friend Caitlin's hometown, because it was
that's
like
true.
a nest of mailboxes, and then he would drive down to the next section of farmhouses, and they would all nest together like that. And in his Jeep, he did not have a mail truck.
Mm-hmm. You still do that here.
I remember seeing the I'm sorry, go ahead, Yetta.
No, you go. I was talking to Hans.
I remember seeing the post delivery in the rural near my grandmother's house, and the guy didn't have a right-handed drive car, and he would drive on the left like everybody in America does, and his arm was so long he could reach across his car and get to the box outside and hang the stuff, put it in and close it and go on to the next one.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
It's pretty amazing that a human can do that and still
Yeah,
drive.
I could imagine him standing and he's totally like, he needs to be stretched out. He's like,
Yeah, exactly.
shoulders on one side needs to be
Uh-huh.
adjusted.
Well, even today in some of the rural areas, the carriers own their own vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They own their own
We-
vehicle.
We have one here in not in our neighborhood, but out on White Settlement to do all the houses that are more on the countryside. That's a private Jeep guy,
Yeah.
and he has the flashing lights, and he drives and
Oh,
puts the mail.
But many of them, if they know they're going to be a postal delivery person, they'll buy the left-hand drive vehicle. So that they can get to the other side. You know, it's like they have the steering wheel on the right-hand side of the vehicle
yeah.
and still deliver the mail.
The British cars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a postal Jeep.
Right.
Yeah.
To go over the ruts in the road for the rural route.
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
It's the road and rural route.
Ruts in the road for the rural route.
Okay.
All right, now I've got a photograph, which is, again, there's not much to say about it. It's just kind of cute. And I feel like you might remember
Aw.
doing this as a kid, or you might have
Yes.
seen kids on a walk,
Mhm. Oh, it's the fingers.
Yes.
the little
Cool.
fingers. So this particular photographer, you might even recognize his name. He worked for every magazine you can think of, or editorial journalistic organization you can think of. Harper's Bazaar, New York Times, Life, who else? You pick it. He
Look.
did essays for Newsweek. And so he was really well known for, and some people for our historians agree, he kind of set the bar for what photographic journalistic essays were. He was really, really good at putting together a story in his photographs. And he was a war correspondent in Japan, and then was during the war was hit by some mortar, and then was injured for 2 years, but then continued to stay in Japan, was in New York and then Japan, doing different stories for different magazines and news outlets. And so this is one of his less serious photographs.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, he did a really, which I just for the first time saw this photograph today. It kind of haunted me when I was doing some
Right.
research.
It kind of looks like aliens will look out, looking out of the house.
I think the only thing I can find on it was that it's 2 black men looking out a white door. So that door must have been white, which we can't really tell. And I thought they were children, but it's 2 black men is what they've been identified as.
Good to know.
But give this guy's name a Google. The article, he did a photo essay on the mercury poisoning that was happening to populations in Japan. And there's a really haunting picture of a mom bathing her daughter, who has a lot of deformities from mercury poisoning. And it just, their family eventually asked for that picture to not be in circulation anymore, because I think it was just too upsetting for a lot of people. But you can, art collections do own it in the umbrella of it being art. So you can find it online.
Steve is going away.
Bye, Steve. Oh, bye, Steve. All right, we've got one more photograph. And again, not much to say about it, but just something kind of cute and cheeky.
Aww.
Oh, I like it.
Cute.
I used to love getting mail when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when I figured out that you could put a stamp on something and mail it off for something free or samples. I drove my mother nuts for a couple of years.
Oh, how fun.
Really, when I got old enough to have hobbies, I used to order model rockets to actually
Mhm.
lift off through the mail. I was always excited to get that.
Yeah.
Don, you've been working models all of your life.
I have been,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what you like.
Yeah.
But for my generation, it was CDs, like pay $1 and get 10 CDs in the mail or something
Yeah.
like that.
Ooh. I'm old enough that I got 33 1/3 albums.
Oh, dang, girl.
Yes. Yes. Before even 8 tracks.
Oh, how funny.
Same idea.
And so this is a postcard. This isn't, this was something you could get, and then, which was funny. Kind of the irony of it. It's a little kid asking, any mail for me? But then
Yeah.
this is a mail you would have been receiving with the picture of the kid asking about it. So on the back, there's I don't have a picture of it in our collection, but it's like an exchange from people in Denver. This postcard was sent to somebody in Denver. So just a sweet little
Sweet.
girl asking the mail carrier for some, if anything's for her. That
Precious.
is it for today, my friends.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
you,
right, nice.
you never cease to amaze us.
Well, guys, I'm like worried eventually we're gonna hit the bottom of the barrel for these artworks. We're gonna have to start all over again, but
We start over again then.
start over again, right? Next week we're gonna look at, oh, I'm excited about this one. We have a exhibition that just opened this weekend called or was the last weekend called Black
Yes.
Every Day.
Black every day.
And so it will be looking at photographs that represent Black life in America. So it's a really, really cool exhibition. So we'll spend time with that. And then 2 weeks after that, we've got our friend Barbara from Italy joining us, and we're going to
Oh,
look at,
good.
Good.
yeah, she just sent me her artworks this week. So you guys are going to look at 2 artworks from the collection where she works, and we'll look at 2 artworks from my collection. And yeah, so we've got a couple of fun weeks coming up.
Great.
That's awesome. Before you go, Peggy,
Yeah.
can you see what I put up?
Is this your uncle's post office?
Yes.
Cool.
Oh,
They built it. There was going to be this brand new post office in this town that had never had one. And he had been a farmer all of his life and kept having heart attacks because farming was hard. And he took the test to be a postmaster and passed it. And he was the only one that took it. So he got to be the postmaster in this brand new building from 1955.
Oh, how cool.
So there you
it
are.
was lucky that he passed the exam, or there wouldn't have been.
That's
They
right.
wouldn't have had a post office. That's right.
Yeah, nobody would have been getting mail like that little girl. The answer would have always been no mail for you.
Anything for me? You keep
All right,
me
guys,
so
have a good
excited.
week. I will
Thank
see
you,
you
Miss
next
Thank
week.
you too, Peggy.
Bye-bye, Peggy.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Sweet. Well, let's take another look at what's coming up. Here we have Peggy today. At 11:30, Naoko is coming with her harp. And because of that, I'll be closing down Fifth Street Cafe at 20 after so that I can download and get ready for the next one because Heather's off today. And
Oh,
at 1:30, drum roll, Nia, Emily is traveling and she's going to bring this to us, I hope, from New Mexico.
Okay.
mhm.
So there we are. And tomorrow, Fitwits at 10:30. It's not 1:30. I don't have Thursdays down. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's Fitwits though, you think?
I can look, just one moment.
I thought she said that she's going to walk around with us like she did in New Orleans,
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it?
but in New Mexico. That's
And
what
she-
I thought.
She would certainly do that and we'd love it, wouldn't we?
Let you stay. in the chat.
Yeah. Hang in there just one second and I'll pull this up for you. As Heather always has the latest. Drum roll. Oh, the bird, he's so funny. Okay. June 23rd is Nia from Destination. And at 11:30 is also Nia from Destination, and bingo at 1:30.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay. Thank you all for coming today. It's always my pleasure.